Aileen Wuornos became America's most hated woman long before anyone stopped to ask why. A face the media didn't try to understand, only to condemn. This story isn't comfortable, and it was never meant to be. Because before Aileen Wuornos was called a monster, she was something else entirely. Stay with me. This case isn't just about murder. It's about abuse, survival, and how the line between victim and villain can disappear. Aileen Wuornos was born into chaos. Abandoned early, abused young, raised in instability. By her teenage years, she was already surviving on the margins, running away, trading sex for food and shelter, learning fast that the world wasn't built to protect her. There was no safety net, no second chances, just survival. By the late 1980s, Aileen was living in Florida, drifting from place to place, making money however she could. She had no stable home, no real support system, and no trust in authority. Life had taught her one lesson over and over again: no one is coming to save you. Then the bodies began to appear. Men found dead along Florida highways, shot and left behind. At first, police didn't see a pattern. Different locations, different victims, different circumstances. Until they did. When investigators finally connected the cases, the reaction was immediate and explosive. A female serial killer. The headlines wrote themselves. The public didn't want complexity. They wanted a monster. And Aileen Wuornos fit the role perfectly. Rough, angry, unapologetic. What no one asked, at least not yet, was the most important question of all. Was this a predator, or a woman who had been hunted her entire life? For Aileen, fear wasn't abstract. It was routine. Every interaction carried risk. Every night came with uncertainty. Trust was never safe, and vulnerability was something the world had punished her for since childhood. So when she told police that the killings were acts of self-defense, many people didn't even pause to consider it. They had already decided who she was. According to Aileen, the first killing changed everything. She claimed she was assaulted, threatened, and believed she wouldn't survive the encounter. Pulling the trigger wasn't planned. It was reactive, desperate. After that moment, something shifted. Fear turned into expectation. Expectation turned into preemption. She began believing that every man could be the next threat. The lines blurred quickly. What may have started as survival hardened into routine. The gun became protection. Control replaced vulnerability. Each encounter reinforced the idea that violence was the only way she stayed alive. With every death, the justification became easier. Not because she enjoyed it, but because she believed she had no alternative. By this point, the pattern was set. Men met her on the road. They didn't come back. And the world outside didn't see trauma or fear. It saw something far simpler: a female serial killer. Once that label sticks, empathy disappears completely. Once the pattern became undeniable, the hunt moved fast. Police connected the murders through ballistics, the same weapon, the same method, the same silent stretches of highway. This wasn't random anymore. It was systematic. Aileen was arrested in 1991. The media response was immediate and brutal. Headlines focused on her appearance, her anger, her past. She wasn't portrayed as a person. She was portrayed as a warning. During interrogations, Aileen confessed, but the story she told didn't fit the one the public wanted. She spoke about rape, threats, moments where she believed she wouldn't survive. Those details were dismissed because they complicated the narrative. The trials were fast and unforgiving. Prosecutors framed her as manipulative and calculating, a woman who lured men and executed them for money. Any mention of trauma was brushed aside as excuse. Context didn't matter. The image had already won. Defense efforts focused on her mental state. Experts described years of abuse, abandonment, and psychological damage. They spoke about survival instincts hardened into reflexes, about a woman who had never experienced safety long enough to learn trust. But empathy didn't fit the moment. The courtroom wanted certainty. The public wanted punishment. Aileen was convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death. There was no hesitation, no lingering doubt. She was labeled evil, simple, absolute, final. In prison, something unsettling happened. Aileen stopped fighting. She withdrew appeals, rejected help, and at times even spoke in favor of her own execution. Some saw it as acceptance. Others saw it as exhaustion. A lifetime of being hunted had finally ended. When someone has only known violence, what does justice even mean? By this point, the story had stopped being about prevention or understanding. It was about closure. And closure doesn't always care about truth. It cares about endings. In 2002, Aileen Wuornos was executed by lethal injection. There were no last-minute twists, no dramatic revelations, no reconsideration of her life or her trauma. Just an ending that felt, to many, clean and final. In her final statements, Aileen didn't beg for forgiveness. She spoke with anger, with defiance, with the voice of someone who never believed the world would show her mercy. For some, that confirmed everything they thought they knew about her. For others, it raised a harder question. What happens when a lifetime of abuse produces someone the system doesn't know how to handle? After her death, the conversation shifted. Documentaries, books, psychological studies began re-examining her life not just as a series of crimes, but as a case study in failure, by family, by institutions, by society itself. Not to excuse what she did, but to understand how it became possible.